Alright, welcome back to the life and suffering of Sir Brante. Let's get right into it. The shadow of the past. Another school day has ended. You are making your way home, still mulling over the things you learned from your teachers. The founding of the empire, the eternal and unshakable rule of a single dynasty, the three estates, each with its own rights. What an odd sort of order that the world has, and yet so mysterious. At least, it sounds that way when your teachers talk about it. Mother is waiting for you on the porch. She smiles gently when she sees you, and yet her expression still shows great concern. Father left on a trip to several distant Magran towns a few days ago. Since then, Mother has been trying to tell you something, but she seems uncertain. Son, could you put your things away and come pray with me? No, Mother, I'm busy. You join Mother in a prayer to the twins. She prays with fervent sincerity, her head bowed low, reciting the words of obedience to them and their greater design in a barely audible whisper. You repeat after her, just as she has taught you ever since you were a little boy. When the prayer ends, Mother sighs and turns to you. Angelo, my son, you are 13 now. You'll be grown soon. It's time to learn about certain things that are important to our family, difficult things. It's about your father and me, about our marriage. What do you mean? You gaze curiously into Mother's eyes. I'm sure you've wondered about this before. Your father is a nobleman of the mantle. How could he marry a commoner with another man's child? But you see, Angelo, your father, when his first wife Amalia Elborn died, it was a painful blow to him. He lost the will to live, lost all purpose. He felt like his own destiny was cut short that day as well. And then he met me. You know the troubles I had in the past? I went to the prefecture as a petitioner, to ask them for help, protection, justice. When I was a young girl, I worked at a small shop that sold crockery and dishes. A nobleman took a liking to me. May his name be forever forgotten. The twins know I was humble and honored his lot to rule, but he took me by force. Mother falls silent, summoning the courage to continue. Gloria is the nobleman's daughter. But he was outraged. How could I have the gall to burden him with low-born progeny? He turned me out on the street, with the little baby girl in my arms. Mother's voice is shaking now. You take her hand tenderly. I had no home, no honor, nowhere to go, no one to help me. When I went to the prefecture, I didn't really think the judges there would help me find justice against my former master. But when Sir Robert heard my plea, his eyes met mine, and I believe that at that very moment the twins themselves granted him the gift of their love. Your father told me that there was nothing he could do to make this detestable nobleman marry me, but he would never abandon me and baby Gloria, and if I agreed, he would take me into his own home. Tears are running down Mother's cheeks. And I knew it, my son. I knew how much his honor and reputation would suffer, but caring for me brought him back to life. It's like he experienced another sacrament. He rediscovered his noble purpose, his lot to rule and protect and care for others. But his decision to marry me, he is still paying for it today. Your father had the courage to defy your grandfather, the founder of his bloodline. If only you knew how much he had to endure, my son. If only you knew the despicable rumors we heard about the Brantes all over Anazote. It was only thanks to the efforts of Sir Gregor that the Brante bloodline managed to hang on to what little remained of its reputation. And now the noble families have all but forgotten about the scandal, thank the twins. Mother falls silent. She looks at you intently. Do you understand what she is telling you? My son, I'm not telling you this just to share the pain of the past. I have no reason to complain. Even Sir Gregor has accepted me through gritted teeth. But you need to understand the heavy burden our family must bear, including our scandalous marriage and Gloria's foul origin. And Gloria, she can never be a Brante. Even if the elder Brantes agreed, the news would stir up the old scandal in the minds of high society. And if that were to happen, Angelo, they would see even your birth as illegitimate. Mother sighs heavily. What I told you just now is something you have to know, son. You are about to enter adult life, but by my lot, I must be humble. I cannot tell you how to treat your family. But may I ask you a question? Now that you know all of this, do you still see Gloria as your sister? Well, seems like the respectable thing to do is pretty obvious. So I think I will go ahead and accept Gloria as my sister. Filled with determination, you assure Mother that Gloria is and always will be your sister. You want Gloria to be a Brante too. You want her to be a part of your family. Who cares what the nobles of Anazote say? Mother beams with quiet joy when she hears this. Oh, Angelo, if only you knew how happy that would make me. To have our family united at last. However, the joy on her face quickly gives way to concern. But I already owe good Sir Robert a debt I can never repay. He's given my daughter so much, a home, an education, his care and advice. The Brante bloodline could suffer so much from Gloria's existence. We should all just learn to accept her status as it is. Just then you hear Gloria carefully knock at the door of Mother's chambers. Mother, Angelo, I couldn't find you. You happily greet your sister. Yes, she is your sister. No old secrets can ever change that. Mother gives you and Gloria a kiss on the forehead and returns to her prayers. You and your sister walk downstairs together. Mother is alone by her bedside now, thanking the twins for a quiet prayer, with a quiet prayer for the Brante family that they have given her. You hope they can hear her. Okay. If you needed any more indication that this world is quite a terrible place, there you go. Alright, 1131, Fall. The Flash and the Flame. You are 13 now. Another theology lesson. Today's sermon is about the priests and why the clergy is the only one of the 3 estates that has the right to interpret the lots and guide the other 2 estates accordingly. Thomas sits next to you, huffing and puffing as he fervently writes down the teacher's every word. But you've heard all this from Mother many times before, so you take this moment to daydream a little. Father promised to take you to the capital once your studies are complete. But the teacher suddenly casts a stern look around the lecture hall and raises his voice at one of your classmates. A boy by the name of Brian jumps out of his seat. The teacher asks him to repeat what he had just said. Brian freezes and seems to shrink. He tries to muster a reply, but nothing comes out. The class becomes agitated. Someone is about to get punished. The teacher now looms over Brian. The boy's cheeks are flushed, and his eyes are covered in tears. You all watch the teacher's iron-bound book as he raises it sharply, about to strike. Brian shrieks and raises a hand in front of him. A sudden flash. The teacher screams and buries his face in his arms. His hair is ablaze and his skin is covered in horrible burns. It's magic, real magic, just like in the books about the Magra Rebellion. The class freezes in shock. There's a dull thud of the iron-bound book falls to the floor. Brian's hysterical laughter renders to the silence. He stands up from his bench, fire in his eyes and sparks on his fingertips. There are screams now. Students run for the door. The teacher tries to extinguish his burning hair. Brian snaps his fingers, and the books of Isateus on the desks turn into pillars of flame. He laughs and raises his arms, and the curtains catch fire. The screams grow louder as the fire howls. Brian's face is tense and violent. His mouth is spewing flames, and his whole body is shaking with laughter. He steps towards the door. You and Thomas glance at each other. He's going to burn the whole school down. Your friend's determination makes you brave. You run behind Brian and knock him off his feet. You both tumble to the floor, even through his clothes. His body sears your flesh. Brian screams, convulses, and grabs Thomas by the shoulders with his burning hands. Thomas howls but stays put, then knocks Brian senseless with several fierce blows to the head. There are servants fussing around the room now. They put out the fire and take away the teacher, his body covered in horrible burns. You and Thomas remain next to Brian, who is lying on the floor, silent. Soon 3 men in black coats enter the door of the school, each bearing an edict sealed with silver, the Inquisition. You and Thomas are told to step away from the witch. They lock Brian's neck in a silver collar and take him away. One of the Inquisitors remains behind to tell the students what happened. That was magic, he explains. The ungodly powers that twists the minds of men into savage instruments of murder. Only the sacred shackles of silver can hold it at bay. Only the power of the twins can save us from its evil grasp. The next day, you are forbidden from ever mentioning Brian's name again. He is no more. Okay, interesting. It seems we have a pyromaniac wizard or something. Moving on. The nobleman's lot. A great day looms ahead. 100 years ago, Uther Tempest was anointed the ruler over the empire. Blessed by the twins themselves, the emperor's reign continues into its 2nd century. Celebrations in honor of the Tempest dynasty are held throughout the city, and the school is closed for 2 weeks because of that. On one of these evenings, Father tells everyone that Grandfather is going to bring Stephen back home for the holiday. They say families should celebrate the day of anointment together. You could benefit from your elder brother's company. With his noble education, Stephen might be able to teach you how noblemen are supposed to act. Soon, Stephen arrives. He now handles himself differently. When it comes to ordering servants around and ignoring Gloria, he is still Grandfather's double, but he is more grown up now, and far less haughty to you. It is a dark winter evening. A damp, cold wind sweeps through the city from the barren lands of Magra. You and Stephen are sitting in the library. He is telling you about Eterna, the capital of the Empire. It is full of so many wonders. The Imperial Palace, the enormous Temple of the Twins, the Military Academy, the Imperial College. You have read so much about these places. Yet he has seen them firsthand. Nathan enters the library. He looks concerned. I can't find Gloria. I looked everywhere. She's not in the attic. Not in the sitting room. Not in the kitchen. I heard she wanted to sneak off to the ruins of Char Milanitis' palace. She could be lost in there. You and Stephen exchange looks. Char Milanitis, the rebellious duke. The ruins of his palace are a dangerous place. Soon, some children claim his tainted magic still lingers there. Which means you obviously have to make your way there and back again to prove you are not afraid of the long-dead witch. Your brother tells you to wait. He leaves and soon returns with his sword in its sheath. Get ready, Angelo. We're going to rescue Gloria. She must have gone to the ruins in search of inspiration for another one of her little rhymes. The two of you instruct Nathan to tell your parents you've gone for a walk in the square. You and your elder brother head outside. You are confused by Stephen's actions. He refuses to treat Gloria like a human being. So why is he still so determined to rescue her? Stephen notices your expression. Are you wondering why I care about Gloria all of a sudden? I can't act in any other way, can I? The law of honor compels me to protect my family. Gloria will never be a Brante, but Father still took her into our house. I must respect his seniority and defend Gloria like she is one of our own. You are a Brante too, noble or not, which means it is your duty to aid me. Okay then. The ruins of Char Milanitis' palace span an entire district. The palace was abandoned centuries ago, and its remnants are overgrown with thick underbrush. The ruined palace is empty, nothing but cold wind blowing over crumbled brickwork. Even the worst scum of the land steer clear of this place. You make your way through the ruins until you spot scattered sheets of paper covered in writing, your sister's writing. You hear loud laughter coming from behind the dilapidated stone wall nearby. You pull yourself up to peer over it. Gloria is lying on the ground, face down, twitching and sobbing. A gaggle of drunk young thugs surround her, cackling and swinging their arms about. You hear their shouts. Look at the lass, sitting here rhyming words together. She thinks she's all noble. But don't you worry, you low-born tart. We're going to teach you your place. One of the louts spits on Gloria as she lies there. Get away from her this instant, you bastards, or I'll spill your guts. They respond with mocking laughter. Stephen draws his sword. The street thugs recoil in fear, but they soon notice that he is only one-armed man against the many. They start reaching out for sticks and stones. Stay by my side. Don't let them flank me. Stephen's hand shakes, but he looks ready for battle. He is outnumbered. For a moment, you hesitate. Perhaps it might be better to run for the nearby district and call for guards. The young thugs are already armed with makeshift weapons. They start approaching you and Stephen cautiously. Okay, I guess we have to deal with this. We charge the attackers, follow our brother's orders, or call the guards. say. Based on the stats, this seems like a really good option here. Follow your brother's orders. You get busy defending Stephen while his sword does the attacking. Stephen's firm voice fills you with confidence. You follow your noble brother's orders. It takes a moment to grab a stick, and then you are at Stephen's back, angrily swinging at the louts as they try to bring him down. One of the louts lunges at your brother with a stone, but you hit him with the stick, and he falls down right at Stephen's feet. His sword flashes. The blade sinks deep into the young man's stomach. He wheezes. Blood starts pouring out onto the ground. The thugs freeze. Stephen pulls the sword out, his face an inscrutable mask, and returns to his fighting stance. You are stunned to see Stephen take another man's life so easily and effortlessly, like picking his own teeth. The thugs look like they are about to flee. There is rage and confusion on their faces. They never expected a young nobleman to use that sword. Stephen just scoffs at them. Low-born scum, that's all you are. This is the only language you understand. Good job, brother. Gloria, get up. We're going home. He turns to glance at your sister, giving the enraged thugs just enough time to rush you. You get separated from Stephen. Your back is against the wall now. They hit you hard in the stomach, then in the face, then the side of the head. Then your mind slips away. When the darkness disperses, you find yourself lying in your bed. Stephen is in the armchair next to you reading a book. He is alive, with left arm in a sling and a black eye, but still alive. Your head is spinning, and you feel nauseous. You try your best to sit up. Stephen looks up from the book. Don't try to get up. You lost a lot of blood. I suppose that was a few thugs too many for a single warrior, even with good backup. I'm impressed. We fought like an army. The noble orders, the commoner obeys. All according to our lots. We defended the family's honor together. You know, brother, the nobleman's lot is also a great burden that few are able to bear. It takes courage, not to fight everything you see, but to do your duty. Each and every decision of a nobleman's becomes a part of his family's legacy, flowing in the blood tide forever. Well, that's a crock of shit, Stephen. Go eat your candy fruits. I think about it often. A nobleman mustn't act weak. A nobleman mustn't suffer like people of the lowborn lot. A noble must rule over them wisely. A noble must ensure that they have work to do. It's not merely your own lot you have to look after. You have to ensure that 1,000 others can live by their lot as well. And there are so many more matters to take care of. Honor, dignity, tradition. It's tough. But it's what it takes to be a nobleman. Do you understand what I'm talking about? There's approval in your brother's eyes for the first time in a long while. It was a pleasure to fight by your side, brother. Alright. Whatever, Stephen. You piece of... Moving on. Trail of the assailants. Before long, the entire city hears how a gang of lowborn thugs assaulted Sir Brante. Grandfather ensures that the brash young men are found. Some of them are taken into custody as soon as Lesser Death releases them. Grandfather seeks vengeance on those who hurt his favorite grandson. Prefect Elborn, a friend of the family, promises to personally oversee the trial and ensure that justice is served. Stephen and Grandfather decide to stay in Anazote until the trial ends. Grandfather demands true death for every single assailant. You ask Father to explain something. How can a legal court sentence criminals to true death? How can worldly judgment overrule the twins' law? Your words are true, my son. Their law is second to none. Yet the twin gods also made the empire and all its ways. The court of law exists to execute the laws of heaven here in the world. Should the court of law sentence a person to death, the law high above will always enforce it, and so every execution brings true death. The commoners who assaulted Stephen, a born nobleman, have committed a grave offense. There is no doubt about it. And yet, according to the Emperor's decree, even commoners have the right to defend themselves when they are about to face true death. This means that all of us will have to appear at the court to testify before the court. Evening comes. Gloria visits your room. She looks crestfallen, and her fingers keep reaching for her long hair. You put away your school books and ask what is bothering her. The trial is tomorrow. I thought I was going to appear there too, as an eyewitness. After all, the whole mess started because of me. But Sir Robert isn't even going to mention that I was there. Can you imagine? He says it would ruin the case. Why am I always in the way? Nobody ever mentions me. Nobody has to listen to me. It's like I don't even exist. And I thought Stephen standing up for me finally meant something. Maybe I will become part of the family. But no, everything is back to usual now. Gloria tries her best to hold back the tears. You do your best to comfort her. Father just needs to keep the family out of trouble. If Sir Robert believes that I only bring trouble, why did he took me into the house at all? I think that should be take me in. Gloria runs away. You return to your books, but you can't help but get lost in thought. What if they told the court they weren't there either? How would you feel then? There's a knock at the door. It is Father. He closes the door behind him and sits next to you. There's an exhausted look about him. Son, you will be testifying before the court tomorrow. Please remember what I am about to tell you. Gloria wasn't at the ruins at all. You went there with your brother to inspect his historic site. The low-born men insulted Stephen first and then attacked him. Stephen had managed to deal with the assailants on his own by the time the guards intervened. Gloria will cast suspicion on the case. If we mention her very existence to the court, the reputation of the family will suffer. Your grandfather will never forgive me if that happens. Do not let me down. We are all counting on you. You recall that night of the fight like it was a moment ago. Gloria sprawled under the feet of the crackling thugs, her poetry, her greatest treasure, scattered on the ground. She thinks she's all noble. Those were the words they spat down on her. But doesn't grandfather mean the same thing when he denies that she is a part of the family? But if you do what father tells you, the trial will end quickly. Those commoners will face true death for assaulting a noble. If you mention Gloria, things will get complicated, and you cannot predict how the trial will end. Which is more important to you? What is right, or what is just? Well, I have to say, lying in court seems like a not very good thing to do. So we can support father, lie to father, or convince father to change his mind. I kind of like the look of this option. The unlock. You are determined to change father's opinion and make sure Gloria gets the fair treatment she deserves. We get good stats, we have to lose a reputation, but we get a unity, and only Grandpapa doesn't like it. So that's not bad, I don't think. So let's pick that. You look father straight in the eye and tell him what you think. You are not going to bear fault witness in court. He is a judge himself. How can he make you lie to Sir Elborn? And what of Gloria? Is she not a Brante too? Does she not deserve justice? Or maybe grandfather is right, and she is just a freeloader who deserves nothing but shame. If so, then how come father agreed to take her into his home and under his protection? Saying this to father is tough. Deep inside, you pray he hears no weaknesses in your voice and sees no blood rushing to your cheeks. But it seems he is listening to you intently. The wrinkles on his forehead grow deeper as his fingers stammer out of staccato against the armrest. This is going to be tough, son. But you're right. You are right. I took Gloria into my home, and so I must protect her like my own daughter. This was my decision, and I must stand by it. I will speak with Stephen in the morning. Now I pray your grandfather never hears of my change of heart. The day comes. The trial takes place in the lesser hall of the city prefecture. Sir Elborn himself presides as the judge. You are the first to testify in court. You tell the court the truth about that night. How the thugs humiliated Gloria. How Stephen and you came to help her. And how Stephen defended his half-sister. Out the corner of your eye, you watch grandfather's face grow red, yet he remains silent. There are confused whispers in the hall. The commoners on trial cry out. It's the truth. Gloria was reciting poetry, and they simply told her she was defying her lot. The situation has changed. By this account, Stephen was not acting in defense of himself or another. He merely assaulted them first in order to retaliate against those who had insulted his half-sister. You spread your feet to stand firm and inhale before you speak next. You ask the hall, is it not a nobleman's duty to honor his family's name? Gloria does not have the Brante name, but your father took her into his home. Therefore it was Stephen's duty to protect her, as he would have protected any of you. Contemptuous chuckles rushed through the courtroom. You have just reminded the city of father's shameful second marriage. Stephen is to testify next. He reluctantly confirms your testimony, glancing at father and grandfather all the while. His arm is in the sling is his main argument. Stephen wanted the commoners to stop insulting Gloria. Yet in the end, the commoners were the first to assault him. After a short recess, Sir Elborn returns and rises to deliver his sentence. The court of Anazote finds you guilty of assaulting Stephen L. Brante, a nobleman, who stood in defense of the honor of Gloria, a member of his household. All 4 defendants are sentenced to true death by hanging. Well then. There is no wind, but you feel a gust sweep through the hall. The defendants turn pale. Their mothers are bawling and crying. Everybody in the court feels the dreadful power of the law, and it is stern and just. That very power has been invoked by this sentence, and by that very sentence, the lives of the 4 young men are literally forfeit for all eternity. The gallows await. Stephen stands in the front row. Father stands next to him. The wood creaks. The trapdoors open under the young men's feet. They dangle in the air, wheezing and reaching out for support with their feet in their final moments. Grandfather's silence ends at home. He screams at you and father, at Stephen and Gloria. This trial is a disgrace. His screams are punctuated by the thudding of his walking stick against the floor. Father says they had to defend their family. It would have truly been a disgrace if they had shirked their responsibilities. Stephen excuses himself to bandage his arm in order to stay out of the argument. Gloria is quiet but glowing. You stay quiet too. It is all over now. It is all over now. Nobody bullies Gloria in the streets anymore. Those 4 commoners are dead forever. Their families were taught a cruel lesson. So will it be with anyone who dares to raise a hand against a nobleman. Okay. Quite the world we live in. Where you get sentenced to death for hurting specific people. Probably not that different from the real world. Agony. Stephen leaves soon after the trial, alone. Grandfather does not go with him. For the first time in a long while, he lingers in the house for more than a fortnight. Father says Sir Gregor is ill and needs rest. Several months go by, and it becomes clear that grandfather will never recover. The eldest Brante is mostly bedridden now. On some days he has trouble recognizing people. When he means to address you or Nathan, he calls you Robert, your father's name. But when he does get out of bed, the house grows empty. The servants hide, Mother locks herself in her chambers, and you and Nathan run outside or hide quietly in your rooms. If grandfather sees anyone in the hallway, he begins lamenting. Oh, nobody heeds the lots any longer. Any harlot with a child can marry a nobleman these days. Children have no respect. His son betrayed him and let him down. And oh, how the Bronte family has lost its honor. Again and again you hear grandfather knocking at Mother's doors, screaming that it's all her fault. He blames her for ruining his chance to find bliss in the hereafter. He blames her for dooming him to suffer at the foot of the pillar. You overhear your parents talking one night. Mother begs father to move Sir Gregor to his old home and spare the children his decline. Father refuses her outright. It is late at night. The hot, dry winds are coming. The house is empty save for you. Nathan, Gloria, Mother, and grandfather in his bed. Father has left for the capital on business. You are engrossed in the history of the Empire, snapping out of your reverie only when the clock strikes midnight. You blow out the candle and get ready for bed. You hear the shuffling of heavy feet outside your door. You see light in the hallway. Grandfather? What could he want in the middle of the night? You peek into the hallway once he is past. Grandfather's figure sways as he heads for the door to Mother's chambers. He opens the door and walks in. You hear him saying something quietly. Your unease is stronger than your fear now. You sneak closer to hear his words. You foul commoner. You need to... I have to cleanse my sins. I have to save my soul. You are my greatest sin. You and what you have done to Robert and this family. I should have put a stop to this marriage. I should have stopped Robert from tainting this house by your presence. Why, oh why didn't I do it? Please, Sir Brante, I beg you. Silence! You will do my bidding. Fire will cleanse all low-born filth from this place. Fire! Fire and flame will free Robert from this disgrace. This is for my son's sake. For my son's sake, for my sake, I need to eradicate this low-born filth. The twins, they are calling for me now. I can feel it. I can feel it. I beg of you, please have mercy. Mother begins to cry. You run into the room, unable to stay out of this any longer. Grandfather's gaunt figure looms over Mother's bed, a lit oil lamp in his hand. Mother is sprawled out on the bed, crying. Please, just let me warn the children. I beg of you, Sir Brante. Your steps are loud enough to be heard. Grandfather turns to look at you. Stay out of this, Angelo. Be useful for once. Worldly matters concern me no longer. I see only my sins now, and a sinner I am. A sinner. The twins, they forgive no one. They will judge me by the pillar. I must do something. I don't want to suffer for all eternity. Go away. Mother is crying. Grandfather is still looming over the bed, driven to madness. His hand shakes as it clutches the oil lamp. His eyes shine in the dark. He truly believes that this has to be done. You are suddenly torn. What if he is right? What if this is the only way for his soul to find salvation? There is no going back now. You have but a moment to act. Interesting. So we can run away and rescue Nathan and Gloria. We can stop Grandfather. Or we can let it all happen as Grandfather wishes, which will kill us. Which I don't think is a very good option. All three options result in Grandpa's true death, which is probably a good thing. I have to say, I think we have to stop Grandpa. He's a lunatic, and he's a bad man. And if he is getting eternal damnation, I think he deserves it. You run to Mother's side and snatch the lamp out of Grandfather's hand before he can start a fire. You look at Grandfather defiantly and step towards him. He stares you down with rage and throws the oil lamp at the floor. You manage to catch it, but just barely. Several drops of hot oil hit the rug, not nearly enough to start a fire. The lamp's glass is blistering hot. It burns your hands, but you still hold onto it safely. You low-born scum, you ruined everything. You're every bit like your mother. You. Enraged, he takes a swing, and you squeeze your eyes shut. But he does not hit you. Instead, there is a deep exhalation. You peek at him with one eye, just in time to see him collapse, all his strength fading away. His chest is heaving, his face a grimace of contempt. Another heavy exhalation. The contempt is gone. There is only fear now. Grandfather's eyes wide open. Almost in surprise, he exhales. His eyes grow dim. Mother is there, whispering a prayer. She is shaking violently. You put the oil lamp gently on the bedside table and call for the servants. They carry the body away. It does not disappear. The true death has found him. He will never return. You spend the rest of the night with Mother in the sitting room. She will not let go of your hand. For many, many nights after she keeps seeing Grandfather's shadow out of the corner of her eye. Father returns from a turn of the morning after. He is unusually composed as he arranges for the funeral. The house becomes quiet. Not the looming, heavy sort of quiet of the past few months, but the calm relief that you all now feel. You feel now that the crazed old man is no more. At last, Gregor Brante, the family's patriarch, has departed for the hereafter. Well, goodbye, you old, nasty man. Okay, 1132, Grandfather's demise. Your grandfather, Sir Brante, left the world forever to meet the twin gods. Couldn't have happened to a nicer man. So, before I end this video, I'm interested in... Oh, look, there's a skull. He is dead. Se muerte. Muerte. Alright, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and pause it here. Thanks for watching. More to come. I love you. Not really.